Hello friends, welcome to Drishti YouTube and also welcome to our session on the Economy Simplified, in which we discuss topics in short and detailed with questions to make you understand the things in a simpler manner. In the same sequence, we are discussing a topic called the PPI or the Producer Price Index. Let's see what is that. Friends, you see, the PPI stands for the Producer Price Index. In a previous video, we have talked about inflation, right? The inflation in India is measured as of now at two stages, at the wholesale level and at a retail level. When a commodity leaves a factory, right? This is a factory, for example. The goods leave the factory, they reach the wholesale market. From there, they reach the retail market, right? So what happens is, we as of now measure the inflation at the wholesale level and at the retail level. But what is the problem here? The problem is that when the goods leave the factory gate, they are now added to taxes. The taxes are added, the transport is added, some delays are added, and they all contribute to inflation. So what happens is, the wholesale price index, which measures the price change at the wholesale market, is not just a measure of the inflation, but also a measure of the system, a measure of the transport cost, right? Goods may be costlier, that's okay. But apart from the goods, the taxes, the transport, the delay, the demand supply mismatch, they all affect the prices at wholesale and the retail level. That's why the real inflation at times is not shown by the WPI, right? And that is why now we are considering to shift the measure of inflation from the wholesale level to the factory gate level. This is the factory gate level. See, the factory owner used to sell a produce at say rupees 10, right? So from the factory gate, the goods released at rupees 10, now at rupees 12. So this change will actually show the change in the prices of the commodities at the factory gate, and they will really show that yes, the prices have increased due to, say, increase in the cost of inputs, right? Cost of, say, labor, etc., but not due to the other things which are not linked to production directly. That is why we are now planning to shift to the PPI that measure the change in the prices at the producer gate level, at the factory gate level. So the PPI is an index which will measure the change in the price of commodities when a commodity leaves a factory, right? What the producer will get, see, producer gets rupees 10 now on the sale of the goods, they will now get rupees 12. So this change is the change of the prices, because what the producer gets is what the consumer pays to the different levels. So when you measure the price change at the level of the factory gate, at the level of the producer, at what price they sell, this price change will be measured by a concept called the producer price index. This is not yet implemented, but this is a framework that has been developed in the country, that we shall be shifting our inflation measurement from WPI to PPI, and also because PPI is a more accurate measure to display the inflation, as well as, see, in the advanced economies, what they do is they measure inflation through PPI. So when we have to compare India's inflation with the world inflation, there should be a common benchmark. So the benchmark is the PPI. So we'll have in future largely and expectedly that we'll have a measure of the PPI and the CPI to measure the inflation, and WPI will be, say, done away with, because this has multiple distortions in the price measurement. So this is the PPI, that is about measuring the prices, right, at the factory gate level, the prices which the producers get on the sale, and this includes the unnecessary taxes and the transport, logistics, and the demand supply mismatches cost in the process. So this is one thing of the PPI. Let's see some questions. You see, the first question is, the government of India has initiated a gradual transition to replace the decade-old WPI with the PPI, as I said, right? What is the primary conceptual benefit of switching to a PPI framework to measure the price changes? The question is why? Why are we changing to the PPI from the WPI? See, the question, the answers would be, the options are, the first statement is the PPI tracks retail consumption patterns more accurately by including household consumption. This is not correct because the PPI doesn't track consumption patterns. It's only tracking the change of the prices of the produce at the factory exit gate, right? Second statement is PPI eliminates the tax illusion and trade margin distortions by measuring the price changes at the basic factory gate before taxes and distribution margins. You see, when the goods leave the factory, as I said in the few minutes ago, that the factory, after the factory, the goods reach to multiple dealers, right? They charge their margins, they add taxes, they have transport costs. So all of them distort the actual prices, right? And based upon the demand supply mismatch, price may inflate. So PPI eliminates those illusions, right? They are reflecting the prices fresh at the factory gate. As a result, unnecessary middlemen, unnecessary transition costs are eliminated. As a result, the PPI eliminates the tax illusion. So this is a correct statement. Third, PPI strictly focuses on the pricing of the agriculture articles spent. This is incorrect, and it is explicitly by the RBI. No, friends, it's not RBI's anchor. RBI's anchor is CPI. RBI takes the consumer price index to measure the inflation, and that's why here the answer is B. B is the correct statement, right? The next question is, the new PPI architecture introduced in India, or say to be introduced in India, is designed as a multi-dimensional framework to map structural price dynamics. That's true. Which of the following components are a part of the PPI framework? Friends, see, as I said, PPI is not yet implemented. It's a framework, right? And see, PPI framework will include, say, output price, input price, and the service price. Because, say, when a producer will sell a product, right, they will take care of the input cost. So it's a input price index will be measured. When he sells the produce, output price will be measured, and see, goods and services both will be largely measured, and that's why here the answer becomes 1 to see PPI. The more clarity will come eventually when the government releases exact PPI, but this is an expected question that when the PPI is introduced, this will be inducting the output PPI, the input PPI, as well as the service PPI, because they will largely or likely to include the services as well. That's why in this case the answer is 1, 2, and 3. The third statement is, you see, look at this question. Consider the following statements comparing the WPI, CPI, and the PPI framework. This is a better question. We can see comparing the three indices, right? So the first statement is, while the WPI covers only physical goods, both CPI and the PPI will cover the service sector. And this is true because we have seen that, yes, in the previous question we saw that the service PPI is a part of the PPI. So that's true that WPI is only measuring the goods, where the CPI and the PPI will measure the service as well. That's why while the WPI measures the physical goods, the CPI and the PPI will measure the service sector as well. The second is, the RBI or the MPC, right, uses the PPI. MPC is a body which decides the benchmark interest rates, headed by the RBI governor. So the MPC uses the PPI as its primary official target anchor. Friend, this is incorrect because RBI uses the CPI to anchor the inflation, right? And the third is the both WPI and PPI are compiled or will be compiled by the Office of Economic Advisor. Friend, this is a factual data. This is correct that yes, both will be measured, compiled by Office of Economic Advisor under the Department for the Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So this is a correct statement. So in this case, two statements are correct. Answer is B. Only two are the correct statements. So friend, this is the question, right? So we have seen the concept of the PPI. I hope we are clear that PPI will be measuring the prices at the producer gate. WPI will be measuring the prices at the wholesale market, right? The mandi prices for the agriculture commodities, and taking data from the numerous towns and cities at the level of the consumer. We measure the prices at the consumer level by the CPI, and the RBI takes the CPI into consideration. But why are we shifting to PPI? Because the WPI has distortions of the prices, of the taxes, of the trader margins, the mismatch of the demand supply. So all these issues will be eliminated in the PPI. That's why we are planning to shift to PPI. And I hope we are clear on this. We shall meet again in the next video discussing the next topics. See you there. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.